Our story begins on Mustafar, where rivers of molten lava carve glowing scars across a blackened world. Anakin Skywalker stands alone on a jagged outcrop, his blue lightsaber extinguished, its hilt heavy in his gloved hand. The air is thick with ash, and the distant roar of volcanoes drowns out the galaxy's chaos. For weeks, visions have haunted him. Padmé's lifeless body, a child he'll never hold, a throne of fire where he rules in chains. He believed these dreams were warnings, promises of a future he could prevent by embracing the dark side. But tonight, as the lava's red glow reflects in his eyes, a splinter of doubt pierces his mind. What if these dreams, fed to him by Chancellor Palpatine, are not prophecy, but lies? The thought coils like smoke, and for the first time since he knelt before Darth Sidious, Anakin feels the weight of a truth he cannot name. The days leading to this moment have been a blur of fire and steel. On Coruscant, Anakin stood at Palpatine's side as the Jedi Temple burned, its spires crumbling under the weight of Order 66. He led the 501st through sacred halls, cutting down knights and younglings alike, each swing of his blade a step deeper into darkness. Palpatine's voice had been a constant whisper, promising that this path would save Padmé, that power would secure their future. Yet, as the screams faded and the temple fell silent, Anakin felt no closer to peace. The visions grew sharper. Padmé's death, her eyes empty, her hands cold. Palpatine urged him to trust the dark side, to let anger fuel his strength, but the dreams began to feel like chains, not guidance. On Mustafar, tasked with slaughtering the separatist leaders, Anakin's unease grows. The lava world mirrors the turmoil in his soul, and as he gazes into the molten rivers, a memory surfaces. Obi-Wan's voice, warning him of deception, of a Sith's lies. Anakin's mission on Mustafar is clear: eliminate Newt Gunray, Wat Tambor, and the remaining Separatist Council, erasing the last threads of the Clone Wars. Palpatine has declared this act the final step to peace, a galaxy unified under his new empire. But as Anakin strides into the mining facility, his boots echoing on obsidian floors, the Separatists' fear greets him like a wave. They cower behind consoles, their wealth and power meaningless before his shadow. He ignites his lightsaber, its blue glow a stark contrast to the red haze outside, and begins the grim work. One by one, they fall. Gunray's pleas cut short, Tambor's mechanical heart silenced. Yet, with each kill, the visions flicker, not with clarity, but with distortion. Padmé's face blurs, her death less certain, as if the dream itself is unraveling. Anakin pauses, his blade hovering over the last council member, a trembling Shu Mai. Her eyes meet his, not with defiance but with resignation, and he hesitates. Why does this feel wrong? The question gnaws at him, a crack in the armor of his certainty. Beyond the facility's walls, the galaxy shifts. Obi-Wan Kenobi, having survived the purge on Utapau, tracks Anakin to Mustafar, his heart heavy with grief. He has seen the hollow recordings, Anakin's betrayal, the temple in flames, and yet he clings to hope that his brother can be saved. Aboard a stolen shuttle, Obi-Wan navigates the lava flows, his mind racing with memories of their years together, sparring on Coruscant, laughing on distant worlds, fighting side by side. He knows Anakin's heart, its capacity for love and rage, and he senses a disturbance in the Force, a flicker of doubt in his former apprentice. Meanwhile, Padmé, hidden on Naboo, wrestles with her own fears. She has felt Anakin's descent through their bond, his love twisting into something dark. Against her advisor's pleas, she boards a ship to Mustafar, determined to confront the man she loves, to pull him back from the abyss. The Force hums with their converging paths, a storm brewing over the molten world. Inside the facility, Anakin lowers his blade, sparing Shumai. She scrambles away, vanishing into the shadows, but the act of mercy unsettles him further. He paces the control room, its screens flickering with data, its air heavy with the stench of death. The visions return, but now they feel foreign, imposed. He recalls Palpatine's words in the Opera House, tales of Darth Plagueis and power over life and death. At the time, they felt like salvation, but now they ring hollow. Anakin's mechanical hand clenches, the memory of his lost limb, a reminder of battles fought for others' causes. He thinks of Padme, her smile, her belief in him, and a new thought emerges. What if Palpatine's promises are a trap, not a path? The doubt grows, a spark in the dark, and he wonders if the dreams are not his own, but a Sith's manipulation, woven to bind him to Sidious's will. Outside, Obi-Wan lands his shuttle on a scorched platform, the heat of Mustafar searing his robes. He moves silently, his lightsaber unlit but ready, his senses attuned to Anakin's presence. The Force is turbulent, a clash of light and dark, and Obi-Wan feels the weight of their inevitable confrontation. He does not want to fight Anakin, but he knows the galaxy hangs in the balance. Padme's ship, a silver streak against the ashen sky, touches down moments later, her heart pounding as she steps onto the burning world. She senses Anakin nearby, his turmoil a beacon in the Force, and she prays she can reach him before it's too late. Inside, Anakin stands before a viewport, the lava's glow casting his face in shadow. The doubt in his mind sharpens, and for the first time, he questions not just the dreams but the man who planted them. The air grows heavier, the Force trembling with the approach of those he loves, and Anakin knows the truth is near, whether he is ready for it or not. The facility hums with latent energy, its corridors a labyrinth of durasteel and flickering lights. Anakin moves through them, his steps purposeful but conflicted, searching for answers in the silence. He passes bodies of the Separatists, their lifeless forms a testament to his obedience, and each one fuels his unease. The visions flicker again, but now they fracture. Padme's death dissolves into images of Palpatine laughing, his yellow eyes gleaming with triumph. Anakin's breath catches, his mind racing. He remembers the Jedi teachings, Yoda's warnings about fear leading to the dark side, and realizes he has been driven by fear, of loss, of failure, of powerlessness. The dreams, he suspects, are not visions, but illusions, crafted to exploit that fear. He grips his lightsaber tighter, anger rising, not at the Jedi or Padme, but at the Sith who has played him like a pawn. Obi-Wan enters the facility, his presence a quiet ripple in the Force. He moves cautiously, avoiding droid patrols, his heart torn between duty and love. He knows Anakin is close, the bond between them a thread stretched thin but unbroken. Padme, too, navigates the corridors, her gown singed by the heat, her determination unwavering. She has faced war and politics, but this is her greatest test, to save the man who is both her strength and her weakness. The three of them are drawn together, their paths converging in the heart of the facility, where a massive control chamber overlooks the lava rivers. Anakin reaches the chamber first, its vastness amplifying his isolation. He stands before a console, its screens dark, and closes his eyes, reaching out through the Force. The visions assault him, Padme's screams, a child's cry, Palpatine's throne. But now he pushes back, seeking the source. The Force responds, revealing a truth that chills him. The dreams are not his. They are Sidious's, a web of lies spun to enslave him. The chamber's doors hiss open, and Obi-Wan steps inside, his silhouette framed by the dim light. Anakin turns, his eyes meeting his master's, and for a moment, the galaxy holds its breath. Obi-Wan's face is etched with sorrow, but his stance is resolute. Padme arrives seconds later, her presence a jolt to Anakin's heart. She stands at the chamber's edge, her eyes pleading, her love a beacon in the dark. The Force swirls around them, a tempest of emotion and power, and Anakin feels the weight of his choices. The doubt in his mind crystallizes into certainty. Palpatine's dreams are fake, a manipulation to turn him into a weapon. But the truth comes at a cost. He has betrayed the Jedi, slaughtered innocents, and walked a path he cannot easily undo. The chamber grows still, the lavas roar a distant echo, as Anakin faces the two people who define his soul. The confrontation is inevitable, and the galaxy waits to see what he will choose. The control chamber on Mustafar pulses with the heartbeat of the planet, its durasteel walls reflecting the molten glow of lava rivers beyond the viewport. Anakin Skywalker stands at the center, his lightsaber unlit but gripped tightly, his eyes darting between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Padme Amidala. The air crackles with unspoken truths, the Force a turbulent sea around them. Obi-Wan's presence is steady, a lighthouse in the storm, but his sorrow is palpable, etched in the lines of his face. Padme stands resolute, her gown singed by Mustafar's heat, her love for Anakin a beacon that both anchors and torments him. The realization that Palpatine's visions are lies has shattered the foundation of Anakin's choices, but the weight of his actions, betrayal, murder, the fall of the Jedi, presses down like the planet's crushing gravity. The chamber is a crucible, and the three of them are on the edge of a reckoning. Anakin's mind races, the Force amplifying his turmoil. He sees the temple's burning spires, hears the screams of younglings, feels the blood on his hands. Palpatine's voice echoes in his memory, promising salvation through power. But now it feels like a leash, tightening with every step he took into darkness. He looks at Padme, her eyes pleading for the man she loves to return, and at Obi-Wan, whose gaze holds both judgment and hope. The doubt that sparked on the outcrop has grown into a fire, burning away the lies. Anakin's voice, when it finally breaks the silence, is raw, trembling with a mix of rage and desperation. He admits the visions, the fear of losing Padme, the promises Palpatine wove into his dreams. Obi-Wan listens, his heart breaking, while Padme steps closer, her presence a quiet strength. The truth hangs heavy. Anakin has been manipulated, but the path he chose was his own. Obi-Wan moves first, not with aggression, but with caution, his hand resting on his lightsaber hilt. He speaks of the Jedi's fall, of Anakin's role in it, but his words are not an accusation, they are a plea. He urges Anakin to see the deception, to turn back before the galaxy is lost. Padme echoes him, her voice soft but firm, reminding Anakin of the man who fought for justice, who loved without fear. Their words pierce him, each one a crack in the armor of Darth Vader. But the dark side clings to him, a shadow whispering of power, of survival. Anakin's mechanical hand twitches, the memory of his lost limb a reminder of weakness he swore never to feel again. He wants to believe them, to step back into the light, but the blood he has spilled forms a chasm he fears he cannot cross. The Force swirls, a storm of light and dark, as Anakin wrestles with his soul. The tension shatters when alarms blare through the facility, red lights pulsing across the chamber. A holoscreen flickers to life, revealing a fleet of Republic shuttles descending through Mustafar's ashen sky. Obi-Wan's arrival was not alone. Jedi survivors, led by Yoda and Mace Windu, have tracked him, their mission to confront the traitor who burned their order. Anakin's eyes narrow, betrayal flaring in his chest. He sees Obi-Wan's presence not as salvation, but as a trap, a prelude to judgment. Obi-Wan raises his hands, insisting he came alone, but the damage is done. Anakin's lightsaber ignites, its blue glow casting harsh shadows, and he steps back, positioning himself between Padme and the chamber's entrance. The Force trembles with his anger, but beneath it lies fear, not of death, but of losing the last fragments of who he was. Padme moves to his side, her hand on his arm, urging him to listen, to trust. But the chamber doors hiss open, and Yoda enters, his small form radiating power. Mace Windu follows, his purple blade already ignited, his eyes locked on Anakin with unyielding resolve. The air grows heavy, the Force a maelstrom of conflicting wills. Yoda's gaze is sorrowful, his voice calm but firm, calling Anakin by his true name, not the Sith title Palpatine bestowed. Windu is less patient, his stance ready for battle, his words cutting through the haze. Anakin has one chance to surrender, or they will end him. Padme steps forward, placing herself between Anakin and the Jedi, her voice rising in defiance. She begs for time, for a chance to reach him, but Windu's resolve is iron. The galaxy cannot wait for Anakin's redemption. Anakin's mind fractures under the pressure. The Jedi see him as a monster, Padme as a man, Obi-Wan as a brother. But who is he? The dark side surges, tempting him to strike, to prove his power. But the memory of Palpatine's lies holds him back, a flicker of clarity in the chaos. He lowers his blade, not in surrender but in hesitation, and in that moment, the facility shakes. A distant explosion rocks the structure, Durasteel groaning as lava flows surge closer. The Jedi fleet has engaged separatist droids left in orbit, their battles spilling onto Mustafar's surface. The chamber becomes a battleground, not just of blades, but of ideals. Obi-Wan steps toward Anakin, his voice steady, offering a path back to the light. But Windu's patience snaps, and he lunges, his purple saber arcing toward Anakin's chest. Anakin reacts on instinct, his blue blade meeting Windu's in a shower of sparks. The duel erupts, swift and brutal, their sabers clashing with the force of colliding stars. Windu's strikes are precise, driven by righteous fury, while Anakin's are raw, fueled by confusion and pain. Obi-Wan shouts for them to stop, his own saber igniting to block Windu's next blow, protecting Anakin even now. Yoda remains still, his eyes closed, the Force flowing through him as he seeks balance in the chaos. Padme retreats to the chamber's edge, her heart pounding, her faith in Anakin unwavering but tested. The facility trembles again, consoles sparking as the battle outside intensifies. Anakin and Windu break apart, their blades locked, their faces inches apart. Windu's voice is a growl, accusing Anakin of destroying everything the Jedi stood for. Anakin's response is a whisper, admitting he was deceived, but the admission only fuels Windu's resolve. The duel spills onto a catwalk overlooking the lava river, the heat searing their skin. Anakin fights with desperation, each block and strike a battle against the darkness within. Windu presses forward, his saber a blur, forcing Anakin toward the catwalk's edge. Obi-Wan follows, his own blade ready but unraised, his eyes pleading with Anakin to stop. Padme calls out, her voice cutting through the clash of sabers, begging Anakin to choose love over hate. The words reach him, a lifeline in the storm, and for a moment, Anakin falters. He parries Windu's strike, but instead of countering, he steps back, his saber lowering. The Force pulses, a moment of clarity breaking through. He sees Palpatine's lies for what they are. A cage, not a crown. But before he can speak, a new presence enters the chamber, a shadow cloaked in darkness. Darth Sidious, his arrival masked by the chaos, steps from the shadows, his red saber igniting with a hiss. His yellow eyes gleam with amusement, his voice dripping with venom as he surveys the scene. The Jedi turn, their blades raised, while Anakin freezes, the truth of his manipulation laid bare. Sidious's presence is a void in the Force, his power overwhelming, and he laughs, mocking Anakin's doubt, his weakness. He reveals the depth of his deception. The dreams were indeed his, woven through the dark side to bind Anakin to his will. Padme's life was never at risk, only a tool to break him. The revelation hits Anakin like a physical blow, his knees buckling under the weight of his betrayal. Obi-Wan and Windu move to flank Sidious, their sabers ready, while Yoda opens his eyes, the Force surging around him. Padme stands firm, her courage a quiet defiance against the Sith's malice. The catwalk becomes a battlefield, Sidious's saber a crimson blur as he engages Windu and Obi-Wan. Yoda leaps into the fray, his green blade a whirlwind, his movements defying his age. Anakin watches, paralyzed, his mind a storm of guilt and rage. Sidious fights with unnatural speed, his lightning crackling through the air, forcing the Jedi back. Windu deflects a bolt, his saber absorbing the energy, while Obi-Wan ducks and weaves, his blade seeking an opening. Yoda counters Sidious's strikes, the Force amplifying his strength, but the Sith Lord is relentless, his power a tide that threatens to overwhelm them. Anakin's eyes lock on Padme, her face a mirror of his own pain, and he feels the pull of the light, faint but persistent. The dark side screams for him to join Sidious, to claim the power he was promised, but the lie is exposed, and Anakin's heart begins to turn. The facility shakes again, lava surging through breached walls, the catwalk groaning under the strain. Sidious seizes the moment, hurling a wave of Force energy that sends Obi-Wan crashing into a console, sparks flying. Windu holds his ground, his saber locked with Sidious's, but the Sith's lightning surges, driving him to his knees. Yoda counters, flipping through the air, his blade grazing Sidious's cloak, but the Sith Lord spins, his saber slashing across Yoda's arm. The small master stumbles, his saber clattering to the catwalk. Anakin's breath catches, the sight of his mentors falling reigniting his fear. Sidious turns to him, his voice a serpent's hiss, offering one last chance to embrace the dark side, to rule at his side. Padme's voice cuts through, a desperate cry for Anakin to fight, to be the man she loves. The Force trembles, the choice looming, and Anakin's hand tightens on his saber, the galaxy holding its breath. The Mustafar control chamber erupts into chaos, lava rivers surging beyond shattered viewports, their crimson glow bathing the catwalk in hellish light. Darth Sidious stands triumphant, his red saber a blazing arc, lightning crackling from his fingertips. Mace Windu kneels, his purple blade trembling against the Sith's onslaught. Obi-Wan Kenobi struggles to rise, sparks raining from a shattered console. Yoda lies still, his small form crumpled, green saber lost in the shadows. Anakin Skywalker grips his lightsaber, its blue hum drowned by the planet's roar, his heart torn between darkness and light. Padme Amidala stands at the chamber's edge, her eyes locked on Anakin, her love a silent plea. The Force screams, a tempest of rage and redemption, as Sidious's yellow eyes bore into Anakin, daring him to choose. The catwalk groans, Durasteel buckling, and the galaxy hinges on this moment. Sidious strikes, his saber slashing at Windu, who parries but stumbles, lightning searing his arm. Obi-Wan lunges, his blue blade a desperate arc, but Sidious spins, hurling him back with a force wave that cracks the catwalk. Yoda stirs, his eyes fluttering, but he cannot rise. Anakin's breath catches, the dark side clawing at him, promising power, vengeance, control. But Padme's voice pierces the haze, sharp and clear, calling his name, not Vader's. The lie of Sidious's dreams collapses, a house of ash, and Anakin sees the truth. The Sith's promises are chains, not crowns. His saber ignites, blue light flaring, and he leaps, not for Sidious but for Windu, blocking a killing blow. The chamber shakes, lava bursting through walls, as Anakin's choice ignites the battle anew. Windu rises, his saber a purple storm, striking at Sidious alongside Anakin. Obi-Wan joins, his blade weaving through the Sith's defenses, a dance of light against shadow. Sidious laughs, his saber a crimson blur, lightning exploding in jagged arcs. The catwalk sways, metal screeching, as the Jedi press forward. Anakin fights with ferocity, each strike a rejection of the dark, his movements fluid, precise, alive. Sidious counters, his blade slashing Anakin's shoulder, blood mixing with ash. Windu seizes the opening, his saber grazing Sidious's side, cloth burning. Obi-Wan ducks a lightning bolt, his blade slicing Sidious's arm, sparks flying. Yoda, crawling, reaches for the Force, hurling debris at Sidious, forcing him back. The Sith staggers, his power waning, but his eyes gleam with malice, unyielding. The battle spills onto a collapsing platform, lava surging below, heat blistering their skin. Sidious unleashes a torrent of lightning, driving Anakin to his knees, his saber sparking. Windu deflects the energy, his blade absorbing the storm, but the effort drains him, his face etched with pain. Obi-Wan leaps, his saber aimed at Sidious's heart, but the Sith twists, his blade slashing Obi-Wan's leg, blood pooling. Yoda rises, limping, his small form radiating defiance, and hurls a massive console at Sidious, metal crashing. The Sith dodges, but Anakin surges forward, his saber a blue inferno, striking Sidious's wrist, severing his hand. The red saber clatters into the lava, hissing, and Sidious roars, lightning exploding in all directions, shattering the platform. The catwalk collapses, Durasteel plummeting into the molten river. Anakin grabs Padme, pulling her to safety as the Jedi scatter. Windu lands on a jagged outcrop, his saber raised. Obi-Wan clings to a beam, blood dripping. Yoda balances on a floating panel, the Force his anchor. Sidious, wounded but relentless, levitates above the lava, lightning crackling from his remaining hand. Anakin shields Padme, his saber deflecting bolts, his body trembling under the strain. The Force surges, a clash of wills, as Sidious's voice taunts, promising Anakin a galaxy of ash if he resists. But Anakin's eyes lock on Padme, her faith in him a flame that burns brighter than the dark. He rises, saber blazing, and charges, a comet of light against the Sith's shadow. The duel is a maelstrom, sabers clashing in bursts of light, the lava river roaring below. Sidious fights with desperate cunning, his lightning searing Anakin's chest, armor smoking. Windu joins, his purple blade a relentless arc, slashing Sidious's cloak. Obi-Wan limps forward, his saber weaving through the storm, grazing Sidious's leg. Yoda leaps, his small form a blur, striking Sidious's shoulder, blood spraying. The Sith staggers, his lightning faltering, but he hurls a wave of Force energy, knocking Yoda into the lava's edge, his robes singed. Anakin roars, his saber slashing Sidious's chest, cloth and flesh burning. Sidious screams, his power surging one last time, lightning exploding, blinding the chamber in white-hot fury. Anakin dives, tackling Sidious, their bodies crashing onto a scorched platform. Sabers fall, clattering, as they grapple, fists and claws, raw and primal. Sidious's nails rake Anakin's face, blood streaming, but Anakin's mechanical hand grips the Sith's throat, crushing. The platform tilts, lava lapping its edges, as Anakin's rage gives way to clarity. He sees Padme, Obi-Wan, the Jedi, the galaxy he nearly destroyed, and releases Sidious, stepping back. The Sith lunges, lightning sparking, but Anakin summons his saber, igniting it in a flash, and drives it through Sidious's heart. The Sith's eyes widen, a gasp escaping, before he collapses, body smoldering, the dark side fading like a snuffed flame. The chamber falls silent, lava's roar softening, the force calming. Anakin stumbles, blood and ash coating him, his saber extinguishing. Padme runs to him, her arms encircling him, her tears mixing with his blood. Obi-Wan limps forward, his hand on Anakin's shoulder, his eyes filled with relief and grief. Windu stands, his saber lowered, his face unreadable but softened. Yoda rises, scorched but alive, his gaze warm with forgiveness. The platform trembles, lava surging, and the Jedi move, supporting each other, carrying Anakin and Padme from the collapsing facility. Outside, the Mustafar sky is a storm of ash, but the Jedi fleet hovers, a beacon of hope. Anakin looks at Padme, her face radiant despite the chaos, and feels the light within him stir, fragile but real. The facility crumbles behind them, Durasteel sinking into lava, a tomb for Sidious's ambition. The Jedi board a shuttle, Anakin cradled between Padme and Obi-Wan, his wounds severe but his spirit unbroken. Windu pilots, his hands steady, while Yoda meditates, the Force knitting their resolve. The shuttle rises, breaking through Mustafar's atmosphere, the planet's fire fading below. Anakin's eyes close, Padme's hand in his, and he dreams, not of death or thrones, but of fields, of laughter, of a life he might yet reclaim. The galaxy waits, wounded but alive, and the Jedi carry their fallen brother toward an uncertain dawn, the shadow of the Sith lifted at last. The Jedi shuttle drifts through the stars, its hull scorched from Mustafar's fiery embrace, carrying Anakin Skywalker, Padme Amidala, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Mace Windu, and Yoda toward an uncertain future. Inside, the air is heavy with the scent of blood and bacta, the hum of engines a soft requiem for the galaxy's wounds. Anakin lies on a medical cot, his chest bandaged, his breathing shallow but steady. Padme sits beside him, her hand clasped in his, her eyes tracing the scars that mark his face, each one a story of betrayal and redemption. Obi-Wan stands nearby, his robes tattered, his gaze distant as he wrestles with the cost of their victory. Windu monitors the controls, his silence a shield for the turmoil within, while Yoda rests in meditation, the Force a gentle current knitting his spirit. The shadow of Darth Sidious is gone, but the galaxy remains fractured, and the Jedi carry the weight of rebuilding what was lost. On Coruscant, the Senate chambers buzz with chaos, hollow screens flickering with news of Palpatine's treachery. The Jedi's transmission, sent from the shuttle, lays bare the truth. The Chancellor was Darth Sidious, orchestrator of the Clone Wars, betrayer of the Republic. Bail Organa and Mon Mothma, long wary of Palpatine's power, seize the moment, rallying senators to dissolve his emergency decrees. The Senate's marble halls echo with debate, fear, and hope, as systems across the galaxy grapple with the revelation. On distant worlds, clone troopers, freed from Order 66's programming by Jedi survivors, lay down their arms, their loyalty to the Republic rekindled. The separatist remnants, leaderless after Mustafar, splinter, some suing for peace, others retreating to the outer rim. The galaxy breathes, wounded but alive, and the Jedi's return sparks a fragile light in the darkness. Anakin stirs, his eyes fluttering open, meeting Padme's gaze. Her smile is a sunrise, warm and unbroken, and he feels the weight of his sins ease, if only slightly. He whispers her name, his voice cracked but earnest, and she presses her forehead to his, tears falling. Obi-Wan kneels beside them, his hand on Anakin's shoulder, a brother's forgiveness unspoken but felt. The Force hums softly, no longer a storm but a river, carrying their shared pain and hope. Anakin's mind drifts to the temple, to the younglings he failed, to the Jedi he betrayed. The guilt is a stone in his chest, but Padme's touch and Obi-Wan's presence anchor him. He knows redemption is not absolution, it is a journey, one he must walk with open eyes. The shuttle's viewport reveals Coruscant's skyline, its towers gleaming under a dawn sky, and Anakin feels a flicker of purpose, a chance to rebuild. The shuttle lands in a quiet hangar, far from the Senate's chaos, where a small group awaits. Bail Organa, Mon Mothma, and a handful of loyal clones, their armor stripped of Imperial markings. Windu steps out first, his presence commanding but softened, his nod to Organa a silent pact. Yoda follows, limping but resolute, his eyes bright with wisdom. Obi-Wan supports Anakin, who walks slowly, his wounds a reminder of the battle fought and won. Padme stands beside him, her strength a pillar for them all. Organa's voice is steady, outlining the Senate's plan. A new republic, stripped of corruption, guided by justice. He looks to Anakin, not with judgment, but with hope, asking him to stand as a symbol of change, a Jedi who fell but rose again. Anakin hesitates, the weight of his past heavy, but Padme's hand in his gives him courage, and he nods, accepting the call. In the weeks that follow, the galaxy begins to heal. On Naboo, Padme and Anakin retreat to a lakeside villa, its meadows a stark contrast to Mustafar's fire. They walk hand in hand, their love no longer hidden, their future uncertain, but theirs to shape. Anakin trains with Obi-Wan, not as a warrior, but as a guardian, learning to balance the Force within him. The Jedi Order reforms, its temples reopening, no longer aloof but woven into the galaxy's fabric. Yoda steps back, a quiet advisor, while Windu leads, his scars a testament to survival. Obi-Wan mentors new knights, his faith in Anakin a guiding light. Clone troopers find new roles, some as peacekeepers, others as citizens, their brotherhood enduring. Across the stars, planets rebuild, trade routes reopen, and the Force flows freely, its balance restored by sacrifice and love. Anakin stands on a balcony overlooking Naboo's lakes, the water reflecting a sky unmarred by war. Padme joins him, her arms around his waist, their unborn child a promise of tomorrow. He thinks of the dreams that bound him, lies spun by a Sith now dead, and feels gratitude for the truth that set him free. The guilt remains, a shadow that will never fully fade, but it is tempered by purpose, to protect, to rebuild, to love without fear. Obi-Wan visits often, their bond stronger than ever, a brotherhood forged in fire. The galaxy is not perfect. Pirates raid, politics simmer, but without the Sith's shadow, hope thrives. Anakin looks to the stars, his mechanical hand resting on Padme's, and knows he is home, not in a place but in the light he chose. Years later, on Coruscant, a new temple rises, its spires modest but radiant, a beacon of peace. Anakin, now a Jedi Master, stands before a group of younglings, their faces bright with curiosity. He teaches not of power but of choice, of the strength to face one's darkness and choose the light. Padme, a senator once more, speaks in the Senate, her voice a clarion for justice, her love for Anakin a quiet strength. Obi-Wan, graying but vital, trains knights alongside Ahsoka Tano, who returned from exile, her spirit unbroken. The Republic and former separatist worlds coexist, their differences a harmony, not a divide. The Force sings, a melody of balance, and the galaxy, scarred but resilient, moves forward, guided by those who dared to dream beyond the lies. The story ends on Naboo, under a twilight sky, where Anakin and Padme watch their children, twins, Luke and Leia, play in the grass, their laughter a music that heals. Obi-Wan sits nearby, his smile soft, the weight of years lifted. The stars above shimmer, free of war's shadow, and Anakin feels the Force, not as a weapon, but as a bond, connecting him to his family, his friends, his purpose. The dreams that once chained him are gone, replaced by a truth he fought for. Love is not a weakness, but a strength, and the galaxy is brighter for it. The Jedi, the Republic, the stars, all endure, not perfect, but alive, and Anakin Skywalker, once lost, is found. And folks, that's our story for today. Writing this one felt like diving deep into Anakin's heart, peeling back the layers of pain and hope that define him. I drew inspiration from the prequel's emotional weight, especially that Mustafar duel, and wanted to explore what redemption could look like if Anakin saw through the lies sooner. Hope you enjoyed this journey as much as I did. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next video.